So I've been following the Lord like passionately. I gave my life to Christ when I was 9. Started to develop a relationship with him the first few years. About 15, I got into a real rebellious place that I stayed in for about 7 years until I was 22. And then I just really started to stop and think about what I was doing with my life. And I just sold out to the Lord in that moment in time. And so it's been, 30 years of passionately following Christ and trying to master sin in my life, not letting it reign, and letting Jesus reign. And certainly I've stumbled along the way. But I remember when I first started, man, I was like, I was so close to the Lord. I felt so close to the Lord, and I would study the Word and apply the Word to my life and start to, eliminate things that I would feel convicted about, and the Lord was showing me, and I felt like I was getting closer and closer to the Lord. And what I didn't realize that I can only know now, having looked back 30 years, is the closer I get to the Lord, the further I feel away from who He is. Like the more, or should I say, I don't feel further from Him in the sense of my relationship, but I feel more sinful. I would have thought that when I first started, I was going to go for a while and I would feel less sinful. But the more I learn about the Lord, the more sinful I realize that I am as a person. It's like climbing a mountain. I remember I lived in Colorado Springs for about 3 months when I was in college, and being a flatlander from Oklahoma, the mountains, man, they bothered me. They started making me feel claustrophobic. I lived right across from Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs, and I'd wake up and look out the window every day, and I'd see this giant mountain. And finally, man, I just had to get on the other side of that mountain. So one day, on a weekend, I just started driving, and I drove up through the mountain passes, and I was like, I gotta get to the other side just to feel the relief. And I finally did. I got up to the other side, and there was this plain, like meadows, like high plains. And I looked off in the distance, and I could see the shadows beyond. There were just more mountains. And I was like, that's what it's like to follow the Lord. It's like you conquer, you get a lot of things behind you, and you grow in them, you mature in them in the process of spiritual growth. And then you get on top and you look, and then there's more mountains. And that's not discouraging to me. That's incredibly encouraging to me. That's not a source of discomfort. That's a source of comfort, because it's just showing me, man, God is so holy and He's so far out there compared to where I am. Yet He just continues to bring me along on this journey. And I know Him better, but I know me better too. And in the process, I see, man, the Lord is holy. And I'm reminded of Isaiah in chapter 6, when he's at the apex of his journey with the Lord. He's in the throne room. He's allowed to see a divine vision with angelic beings flying around crying, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. And here's Isaiah, man, that was used in an incredible way during this time in history. He's used in so many significant prophecies about Jesus that we look at and go, man, this guy was walking with the Lord, and here he finds himself in this vision in the throne room, and he says, I'm ruined. I'm undone, man. He recognizes his unholiness even though he's that close to the Lord. And what does the Lord do, man? One of the angels comes and grabs a coal from the altar and brings it and touches his lips and says, this will atone for your sin. And so, boy, I like my journey with the Lord and spiritual growth is really important. And I'm trying to ascend the mountains with the Lord of sin in my life and master different areas where the Lord is showing me I've sin in my life. But that's not what makes me in a relationship with the Lord. My sin has been atoned for. I'm just trying to master it so that the Lord can use me to produce for the kingdom. So I'm comforted by the fact that even though I'm undone, and the more that I learn about the Lord, the more sinful I realize I am as a human, it just makes the gospel even greater news than I realized before. It's good news, friends. Our sins have been atoned for. And even though sin feels like it's a mountain weighing us down, that's not what makes us right with Jesus. It is the cross and the cross alone that we boast in. While we try to master sin in our lives, that's not what makes us right with him. It's what he did. He mastered it and atoned for it because he never committed it. So be encouraged in the Lord and press on, climb the mountains, and know the closer you get, the further you'll realize you are away from the holiness of God.